Flight boss, bitch. For sure. Listen to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And we're going to talk about what is an energy signature. Exactly. What is an energy signature? Now, for the most part, we all should know what energy is. Now, energy is something that can be created. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of discussions out there of energy can be created or destroyed. But me, as a fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional being, as Archangel Uriel, I beg to differ now because I'm creating energies every goddamn day. Now, can the energy be destroyed? That's a whole nother discussion right there. And we could kind of see the things in life accumulating and being added on and based upon a big old expansion and contraction. This contraction period is not even contracting to the day one period of time. The contraction is like that much greater because the expansion is that much greater. So for the most part, we know things are not being destroyed. We know things are becoming waste. Same way we see third dimensional wise trash and even when you eat and you got waste within your body that needs to be released and flushed out as feces or urine, or even mental thoughts and concepts that you eat, that you received from the sea, from seeing and this experience, and you having to drain that, aka release it, aka release an expression from the ideas that been on your mind. It's the same thing. Y'all need to know it's just from a higher frequency vibration. But for the most part, you're in a circumstance or a situation where we see things keep adding on, like the snowball effect and things of that nature. But we know for it to expand, things have to keep adding. So we know that we're creating the energy. So that can be debunked all day, all over the place. If you come across any philosopher saying that energy can't be created, we're creating energy. That's the only reason we're not stuck in the same routine of energy spiral. And this is why you see a form of expansion or things getting greater, or you being able to develop a bigger body based upon the dimension and the realm of reality that you get birthed into. So for you to even be bigger, we know things are being added. So we know that energy itself is being created, but as far as it being destroyed, that's a whole nother video. This is why we have a problem with destroying things amongst the earth that we think is trash. So we think we have to burn it. And once we burn something, you start to think that's putting toxins in the air. So you're really not even really getting rid of it and things of that nature. So we have a problem with destroying things in general. We have a problem with destroying things what we created in all realms of realities, in all vibrations, in all scales. So you can look at that from a business or from a material or from a robotic level all the way into a spiritual level and a fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional level when we talk about consciousness, aka when we emit our imagination and our thought forms and our feelings and imaginations. We have created a vibe and put it out in the world. Now that vibe can go into the world and start to create a snowball effect, aka start to resonate with anybody who's vibrating on that same frequency. And when they add their own idea and once they receive that and they size up their own intellect and their idea and feelings and emotions, boom, they add their own concept to it, aka their idea end up being a part of that whole snowball effect, and then that realm of reality becomes that much greater to the point that that is an energy that cannot be destroyed. Now it can only take different shapes and forms, but we know it can be created. Now for the most part, this is where we start to get into energy signatures, because let's break down signature. A signature is anything that you sign and seal due to your persons, your spirit. So anytime you sign on to a shape and form, aka you gave this a name, anything you sign on, you gave that a name. So your persons, you're giving your persons, aka your energy spectrum, aka your spirituality to something. So you're giving your spiritual belief to something, your power of belief. So you believe that whatever you're signing and sealing. So for the most part, you believe that's your name. You believe that's your name. So that's, you give your power of belief to that signature. So whatever name you gave yourself, that's your persons, your spirit, giving the power of belief to that. Therefore, you are able to believe in that shape and form and sustain that realm of reality. Therefore, this is why you won't be able to drive without a driver license unless you are believed to be that person that's on a driving license. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, the power of belief is vibrating so low now, y'all are putting it into many different shapes and forms. But you need to know, as a spirit, your power of belief is the first initial power that you have. So keep that in mind. So when we talk about energy signatures, this is anytime you sign and seal onto a specific energy. Now, energy is a current, a wave, like I was just breaking it down. Once we emit a light body in imagination, it is a small wave that could be large based upon a snowball effect. Now, if you want to play the face or the character of that energy signature, then you need to sign it. Now, sign it is you either planned out the characteristics and you want to be the forefront of that. Therefore, anytime somebody pick up that energy signature, they are reminded of you in some way, shape, or form. So how you do that is participating in that energy signature and becoming the prominent star within that energy signature. Therefore, the energy is itself. But anytime that energy get picked up by who's ever vibrating in that frequency, they, excuse me, pardon me, they will pick the sense up what's attached to it. And if you are a prominent star in that current flow, if you are a bubble in that current flow and a big bubble, a big star, you emitting major light in there, then anytime somebody received that conscious wave, they would get reminded of you in some way, shape, or form. So that's what an energy signature is. So for the most part, you have a bunch of people who have created energies and you have a bunch of people who have signed on that energy. Now you have a bunch of actors, people who have signed on for that script. So they did not create that person. They did not create that character, but they are playing that character for that specific that specific time. So this is what you call an actor. So this is a person who didn't create nothing. They're just being the shape and form of that energy signature for a specific time. So they're not the owners of that intellectual property, right? So they're just being used as the face front. So that's what you call an actor, a person who is not that. They're coming as a mimic or an illusion. Now, for the most part, here's where you get a person who create an energy signature. Now, a person who create the energy and actually plays out the signature role too. Therefore, it doesn't matter who's playing the role. You know where that actual signature came from. So you'll pick up an energy and then you'll be like, oh, that remind me of somebody or something else. Boom, you picked up the energy / signature behind it. You see what I'm saying? So you picked up who signed on to that energy or who created that energy. So for the most part, when you get hit with an energy, right, you might have a lot of people who play out this energy. Let me break this down for an example, right? Now, let's say in business aspects, or let's say in an urban neighborhood hustling, right? Now, hustling in itself is just hustling. Now, you have many different people who hustle many different things. So we can get into that in all business, right? So the energy of it is hustling. The energy signature is what you're hustling. So you have some people who have signed, sealed on hustling deodorant. You have some people who signed, sealed on hustling food products. You have some people who have signed, sealed on hustling drugs. You have some people who have signed, sealed on hustling laws. And so, boom, the person who came up with that law, or the person who came up with that drug hustle, or the person who came up with that business, or the person who came up with that, boom, that is the signature that they put on that energy. So anytime you're in the frequency vibration of wanting to sell drugs or get drugs, anytime you're in the energy signature of wanting to start a business or have a business, anytime you're in the energy signature, all these prospects, anytime you're in the frequency vibrations of these, you're going to pick up the energy of these. And whoever signature is on that energy, you're going to be reminded of this person. So they're going to be the representation of what you need to do or what you don't need to do, or how you need to do to go about that current or that flow or that energy. So they are the signature of that energy. So now you can start to understand what energy signatures are, right? So this is why it's important to come up with your own energy signatures. Now, what is energy signatures backed and supported by, and how to create an energy signature for yourself? Now, because that's me breaking that down, what's good is knowing something if you don't know how to do it for yourself. So for the most part, what is an energy signature for itself? Now, you're going to be able to see this into every trendsetter and everybody in this world and be like, damn, this is basically what they actually did. And it was simple. So basically, this is what it is. And now this, I'm telling you how to be a creator of one, not to be an actor. Which acting a lot of times could play good, because for the most part, say you are in a space and a location around people, right? And you may not have enough energy towards yourself. You ain't got enough spirit, or you ain't got enough energy, aka you don't know how to utilize your solar system, aka your spiritual spaceship that your spirit is in order to emit your light that create energy. So for the most part, say you're around people that it may be very low, like, and this don't mean a person is weak. You could just be a person that's in a family, a heavy religious family. So you may got attributes or things that you want to do that may say you may want to make rap music that disregard that religious family or something like that, or it could be anything like you make rock and roll or things of that nature that disregard. So that mean that you don't have enough energy in yourself to combat everybody theology. So you might feel the waves of it, you might feel the vibes of it, you might feel down by how other people might look at you, or you might conceal some of your talents away just to align yourself so you don't go through bad scenarios with your family and friends and things of that nature, because you don't truly want to detach and things like it could lead into things of that nature. And at this point, it's good to be an actor, because when you can find someone who has a larger amount of that energy source that can back and support the frequency vibration that you're in at the moment, right, then sometimes you might need to take that energy that someone else signed as a signature and then put your little old 2 cents on it. Therefore, that'd be like showing your family members other rock bands that do agree with their religious theologies. Therefore, they don't look at you in a way. Or, you know what I'm saying, put your family members onto things that they can be more relatable with, but it share a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's you using a greater energy outside of you that represent the frequency vibration that you was in, but that energy was signed and sealed by somebody else's signature. So for the most part, when your family members look at it, when they pick up that wave on their own time, they're going to be reminded of it of you, because they're going to be like, oh, I heard of that because of my family member or something, this, that, and third. But you know you got that from somewhere, so you played as an actor. But for the most part, you needed that energy signature in order for your thing to come across well. So that's when it could benefit you when you're being an actor. But for the most part, it's not always good to be an actor, because it's the word actor itself means you're playing a character. And when you start to portray too much into a character, you don't know the conclusions and the lifestyle and the experiences that came about in that character's existence for that character to be that character. So you're just playing that character from your own aspect. So anytime you're defending that character, you're going to find yourself being going against the wave, being on the negative end of energy, because that goes for anybody who's trying to defend something that they didn't create. You know what I'm saying? So only use something that you didn't create in order to benefit or help yourself or sustain yourself within an astral travel. Never put yourself into a situation where you're defending and you're becoming the war person to defend whatever you didn't create, because that's when you're going to be not understanding and you're going to be on the wrong side of energy, where it's going to be forced in front of you by a person, place, or thing. This the universe. This works in this way. It's going to be forced in front of you to see what you didn't understand, because you don't understand the full totality of what came to the conclusion of that character to be them characteristics in the first place. You're just coming at it in your own angle. So that plays out in like this. Now, like, this is why the Bible is good. There's a lot of good things in the Bible, but this is why it is not good to take the Bible and to be a preacher or a theologian, aka you to try to defend the Bible. Because once you try to defend something that you are not fully aware of, you're going to put yourself in a circumstance where you're in a bunch of debates. You're in a bunch of circumstances where you're outside of yourself and you're feeling uncomfortable doing things that you're truly not supposed to do, but you're psyched up thinking you are supposed to do it. So you put yourself in a bunch of scenarios that you ain't necessarily have to be in. Now, when we flip that, and see, and that's trying to defend it. But if you just look at it as it is, and you know that you're not the you're not the owner of that intellectual property, then you can utilize the benefits out of it for when you need it. And therefore, when it's time to defend it, you know you can't defend all of it, because you know you didn't create it, so you really don't know what's all going on with it or not anyway. So therefore, you're just utilizing it for your benefit or what you need to travel through. You see what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, now getting into my point, when we was talking about as far as the energy signature itself and how to create an energy signature. Now, this is basically backed and supported by coming up with your own idea and your own feelings and emotions about something. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you create an energy signature for yourself. That's how you become the owner of that intellectual property. So regardless of other people become actors of it, or regardless, you will always receive the fruits and benefits of that energy. So however big it get accumulated, it don't matter. Esoteric wise, it's signed and sealed. You didn't have to write it down here in blood or nothing like that. You wrote it esoterically because you created that energy signature. So you will always be the owner of that intellectual property. And how you actually create an energy signature is, okay, now we're all receiving energies, right? So when you get in the world, you're going to feel a certain vibe. So you're going to feel this sense of being forced to feel about something a specific way, aka what you're receiving was pushed out by someone else's. So this is someone else's intellectual property right here. So what you pick up from it, you feel the sense of it because you feel the sense of needing to react a certain way, whether you're getting advice from people around you or whether you just pick up certain senses like, what the fuck is this? Now, for the most part, the moment you develop, not relate, like just come up with your own idea because you're vibrating on that frequency, aka you want to add on to it. No, the moment you create, I mean like you took in something and completely disregarded it and just came up with your whole total idea and frequency vibration about it. See, it's a difference. See, when everybody vibrated on a certain frequency vibration, because we're all receiving thoughts. Your thoughts is not yours. So when you receive, right, you receive, like I just caught a thought, it went into you, went into your universe. Now, once you construct it through your solar system, aka make sense out of it, that becomes yours. So now you put that back out in the universe. Now, anyone else who's vibrating on that same frequency vibration you was on will be able to pick up the energy light spectrum that you just put out. Now, that's what that is, right? That's what becomes your thought. But when you're creating an energy, so you could be the owner of that intellectual property, right? This is when you're receiving, but you totally turn that off and totally come up with your own frequency vibration of what you thought you received and what you turned off. You see what I'm saying? So you're not coming, for an example, like I said, you received a thought, right? Say you want to know what light is. So you received a thought. So it made you do some information on what light is. And then you put your own emphasis on it. Like, okay, this is what light means to me. Boom. That's just basically now you got your own, you put out your own thought. Now, when I'm talking about creating an energy signature, you received what you think everybody else is calling light, but you just totally disregard that and totally call it something else. Flight. For an example, flights, right? Now that is a brand new energy because I'm not giving you a new interpretation of light. I'm basically coming up with something else on what everybody think that is in general. So I'm not adding on to someone else's energy signature of what they already thought light to be, and now I'm just adding on what I think light is. I'm actually receiving what everybody else receiving, and then I'm just totally disregard that and call it flight. You know what I'm saying? Now I created an energy, and now the signature of it is me by default because I came up with that energy signature. So now, anytime somebody hear flight, right? Flight, it will, or anytime somebody is correlated to how they receive light or how they look at light or whatever like that, they will be reminded of me. You see what I'm saying? So I am the owner of that intellectual property. So now that have became an energy signature, and the signature of that energy, it got my signature behind it. You see what I'm saying? So me, when I'm talking about flights, right? Flights, I'm talking about spaceships. I'm talking about emitting imaginations, emitting consciousness. And anytime you emit your imagination and emit your consciousness and your feelings and the vibrations and things of that nature, you create a spaceship. Now, a spaceship take flight. Now, the flight, when you take flight, within this spaceship, you're able to travel within the subconscious realm, and you're able to astral travel within the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. And how you move through that 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension is through the subconscious. And the subconscious in itself is the rainbow waters, is the fluid. You see what I'm saying? So for the most part, now when in any realm of reality, once y'all start to break down light, y'all don't have no choice. Like at the root cause of it, you ain't got no choice but to slightly be talking about what I'm talking about as far as flight. So when people talking about light, they talking about information. They talking about consciousness. They talk about heat. They talk about transformation and things of that nature. Now you see when I was talking about flight, it ain't had shit to do with that. But you see how it both got everything to do with it. So you see how the energy. So this is why I encourage everybody to create an energy signature. Everybody to create an energy signature. You see what I'm saying? Now, for the most part, now you can't even really think about flight itself. Someone who created the word flight, you can't even really think about that anymore without even thinking about me. You see what I'm saying? You see how I took that energy, took this energy, disregarded it, and just came up with a whole new energy signature. Boom. That's what everybody needs to do. You know what I'm saying? So once you come up with a energy signature, it's almost like your creation, and it just goes out and accumulate for you. It's almost like Bitcoin, or it's almost like investment. It's almost like not Bitcoin investment. What's the word I'm looking for? Investments. When you invest in something, you put your share in a business, like, and you get this much percentage out. Like, at one point in time when everybody was putting in their shares into MySpace and shit like that, it's almost like that, fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional wise. Anytime you create an energy and you are the owner of that intellectual property and you put the signature behind it, you have an energy signature, and that's almost like. It's almost like that. You get refunds from it. So your energy signature, sometimes it might be weak. Sometimes it might be in its day. In its day to reign. Therefore, that conscious reign on everybody else, and it be the most dominant influence at that particular time. Then sometimes it's weak. It be little scattered showers, and it might not be pertaining. But that's just like shares on your shares in your business. Sometimes they up, sometimes they down. Sometimes it's good to cash out. Sometimes it's good to just wait and let it accumulate. Same shit, you know what I'm saying? When it's your time to reign, go ahead and cash out on your energy signature. When you feel it, you'll feel the vibrations. Boom, go ahead and cash out. You know what I'm saying? When it's weak, chill out and let the other energies wave. Let other energies wave. Go ahead, so your shit can accumulate into that shit. So you're not forcing it and going against the wave, aka trying to force people to see it when it's not time for it, and therefore people looking at it like, oh, this person this being disgruntled, this person doing that, aka in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, people got umbrellas to that wave. They don't give a fuck about that conscious wave at the moment. You know what I'm saying? It's just scattered showers. Matter of fact, people don't even need umbrellas. It's not that heavy to rain. You know what I'm saying? It's a scattered showers. People still going outside, not giving a fuck about that weather, that influence. You know what I'm saying? So you have to wait and let whatever weather going on that day, let that go. Let somebody else's energy current go that day, and let your stuff accumulate into that, other than trying to force your shit to accumulate. Therefore, you be looked at as disgruntled or opposing, like down here, and you get washed up by the waves. Therefore, your canal go off the cliff in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. But, it's a lot of deep shit when we talk about this motherfucking shit. But, that's actually understanding energy signature. So I advise everybody to create an energy signature, and it's okay to be an actor from time to time, because look, for the most part, you get a movie role, aka you get a script, because you may not be in a specific location. Like, for an example, right now, you may be a high-spirited person, right? But you might not got the right words to use around people that you're around your friends, right? So you play an Archangel Uriel video. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with that at the moment. And then within yourself, you could start getting more movie roles to the point that you start understanding how to direct. Then once you become a director, aka you're the person creating the movie. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I broke it down at the beginning. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that when you're in a circumstance like that. But as I broke it down, when I was breaking it down with the Bible, it is not good to get into a point when you start to defend it, though. When you start to defend it. Now, for an example, if you put on Archangel Uriel video to be an actor at the moment, boom, that's cool. But for the most part, say somebody you just put my videos on to start disagreeing with everything I'm saying. Do not defend me, though. Let them lead their own path. The moment you start defending me, you start going against the wave and things of that nature. Let a person have their own ideas. Let a person come around themselves and things of that nature. And if they truly part of your soul group or your true state of being, they'll find themselves coming to you like, you know what? I was watching some of this dude's videos on my own, man. I do fuck with this cat. It was just my first time. You know what I'm saying? Y'all start having that dialogue. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air. Love y'all in this motherfucker.